Talked a bit about this already, but the High Elves are one faction that stand to benefit quite a bit from the cavalry beta, just from the fact that they have excellent Jaw cavalry in general, from Reavers to Silverhelms to Dragon Princes. Today, we've got a very interesting build from Norman. He's taken High Elves into Skaven, and this is something that I've seen on occasion. The very mobile build with no infantry whatsoever, just relying on 4 Shadow Warriors here. We've got 4 Allarielle Reavers, Noble with Armor of Stars on the Chariot. Also, of course, Archmage, Lore of Life, also on the Eagle. You might think Allarielle in this situation, but specifically, the Armor of Stars will allow you to stay hidden. We all know the legend of Red Eagle. Today, I introduce you to Green Eagle. The Armor of Stars is going to keep them hidden and snipe free from all these Jezzails, which there are quite a few here. We've got 3 Jezzails, Regiment of Renown, Death Globe of Mortars here, the Avalanche Mortars, Council Guard, Grey Sealer Plague up on the bell, Skaven Assassin, 2 Assassins actually, some Rat Ogres, so very traditional, kind of standard, strong Skaven build, I would say. And then obviously on the High Elf side, 2 Arcane Phoenixes, which by far and away the best monster that High Elves have access to right now. Unfortunately, dragons are, let's say, not amazing, as the friendly fire of the Skaven here reigns in on those Skaven slaves. But yeah, as the Jezzails, you know, obviously they can't focus the Archmage with that Armor of Stars active. They're instead going to focus on the Phoenixes, which is definitely strong. Warp Storm Scroll going to be used here. Unusual item. It's actually on the Grey Seer. Will debuff the speed, do a little bit of damage. Reavers are going to come in on a couple of multi-charges here, going directly after the Rat Ogres. Now, it is a little bit risky. Skaven player a little bit slow to respond here, just kind of thrown off, I think, by the strange build. But you can see the Rat Ogres, I mean, of course, there's plenty of supporting fire from the Shadow Warriors as well, but a lot of damage coming from the Reavers there on some nice little charges. And I mean, it's, you know, cavalry versus monstrous infantry. Probably as this interaction would have played out about the same in the live patch, but yeah, nice to see. Arcane Phoenix comes in for some terror there, and that should spell the end for the Rat Ogres, perhaps, although the Reavers have taken extreme losses. Same thing over on this other flank here. We've got, you know, Reavers and Phoenix working in support, taking out these Jezzails, taking out the Rat Ogres, going after those priority target units. So great job by Norman here, you know, keeping that in mind, those sort of unit priority. We're going to see Dwellers Below get popped over here. This is going to basically, I don't know why my camera's bugging out so much. I apologize, guys. Yeah, the Rival High Talisman being popped here. Dwellers Below is going to kill quite a few of those Allarielle Reavers, but will also deal significant damage to all the Skaven units. So kind of a nice back and forth here. Yeah, the Phoenix coming through. The Shadow Warriors just staying well free. Looks like a Summon Storm Vermin here from the Dreaded 13 spell. Now, I didn't see with that Dreaded 13 spell if he got damage on the explosion. Generally, I would say if you're playing Skaven, you really need to make sure you're getting value on the explosion from Dreaded 13th. I mean, the summon itself is okay. It's decently valuable, but I would definitely say the fact that the explosion does a significant amount of damage means you can just about pay for the spell, you know, only in that explosion. Granted, there wasn't really too many good opportunities here because it's a very spread out, very low model count High Elf build. You know, only 424 models to start, outnumbered, yeah, like, just 3 to 1, more than 3 to 1. Ridiculous. 1,500 Skaven brought here. But definitely the single entities are going to be strong. We've got this Phoenix here getting pretty low, but forcing another blob for another Dwellers Below. This will do an extreme amount of damage. Mostly just chaff infantry here, but there are the Avalanche Mortars mixed in there as well. Flame Phoenix Feces Cone gets dropped as well. The absolute diarrhea, just roasting all those Skaven. A lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. The Arcane Phoenix just chilling here. The Armor of Stars, you can see how close the Archmage is, actually pops back into stock there, so even these Jezzails right here can't focus on her, which is just fantastic. Shadow Warriors just continuing to rain in fire, getting counterfired by the remaining Avalanches even still. But things are looking relatively grim for the High Elves. There's certainly a horde of rats left, but the quality is extremely low. I mean, other than Council Guard, there's really not much left in terms of quality, so... Granted, the Archmage is not like a super strong combatant here, and she has taken quite a bit of damage. Assassin's Trophy there, Armor of Stars still up. It has a relatively short cooldown, so you can definitely keep that thing active for a quite substantial amount of time. But she is still at risk. There's still one more unit of Giselles left. Currently not focus firing on her, but probably should be focus firing either on her or this low Phoenix. Although, yeah, it looks like as soon as I say that, they actually do switch to that low Phoenix. A little bit of Earth Blood saves it there, perhaps, but it does also get the Rebirth proc, so huge amount of healing there. Now the Archmage just has to be careful of herself, mostly. Shadow Warriors, and again, another summoned Storm Vermin chasing them, wasting some of their ammunition, which in and of itself could be worth it in the late game. It just depends if the Skaven can take out the High Elves' single entities, right? I mean, certainly these Giselles still have quite a bit of power left. The Assassins, one of them still pretty healthy, but given the fact that Phoenixes do magic damage, they'll trade pretty well. You can see big hit there on the Assassin as that Phoenix drops in. He's going to get terrified, so the nice thing is with this sort of flying slash missile build, the missile units can continue to fulfill the attacking rule while Norman very carefully picks out, you know, his priority targets with these flying units. And the Chariot also, in the meanwhile, I mean, Noble Chariot's just in general quite strong. Talked about the Noble a little bit recently. He's quite tanky against these low-tier troops. He'll take damage from the Storm Vermin, certainly, but has good enough mass to just chad through the rats, so he can really, brutal sideswipe decapitation there as he charges in and out, just continuing to deal some nice anti-infantry damage, because the Phoenixes, I mean, they're not great at dealing with infantry blobs, other than the fact they have that AoE ability, but they do need to be in the air to use it, right? So the Chariot does provide that little bit of mobile anvil. Shadow Warriors with a tiny bit of ammunition left. They're going to come in to try and support in melee now, as mandated by the rules. This is from Anticity's Ladder, I should say, so on the Cavalry beta. If you guys want to get Cavalry beta matches in multiplayer, I would definitely recommend going on Anticity's Ladder, since it's mandated there. But man, I love the Phoenix Fire effects. Diarrhea Cone, you know, advanced Flaming Phoenix Feces is quite beautiful. Now, here comes the Jade Eagle. I mean, we're in a Cathayan mood, right? Let's go with the Jade Eagle here. Diving in. See herself, again, quite low. A little bit of healing, of course, from the Earth Bloods. But not too much magic left. Probably another Assassin's Trophy. And she flies away. But at this point, things are looking a little bit grim for the Skaven. I mean, the Grace here is still fighting. Council Guard are continuing to hold out. But single entities for the High Elves are all still alive, right? I mean, Giselles do come back, though. Potentially dangerous here. Is Armor of Stars active? No, it is not, but the Giselles are not super accurate at that extreme range, so that should be okay. A bit more Flaming Diarrhea there from the Phoenix. Actually, probably did more friendly fire on those Shadow Warriors than anything, but that's fine. It's fine. This other Phoenix still has a healing proc to give, and, I mean, potentially Life Mage. There we go, with the Armor of Stars now pushing out, trying to get at those Giselles there without being spotted. So another nice play. Shadow Warriors come in. They're able to mop up all these chaff units, even though they themselves are quite tattered. So, oh yeah, man, I don't know why these desert maps are just gorgeous, extra gorgeous somehow. Even though it doesn't really fit with these two factions per se. I mean, ostensibly they could be fighting here for a myriad of reasons, but it is what it is. Grace here, still having a grand old time up on his bell. Probably just quite tired from swinging. Could you imagine how much, like, that would work all of your muscle groups, probably, because he is really getting, like, a full body motion there, if you think about it, for literally the entire battle. The Rat Ogre, too, man, he's like, oh, I'm so sick of pulling this thing. So sick of pulling this chain. Yeah. Things are looking decent. I mean, this Phoenix hasn't got its healing proc yet, though. There's a really nice Earthblood. Hits all of these single entities. You know, max 4 targets. Super efficient there, actually. And with that, should be all these single entities collapse on the Grace here, and that should be it. Still plenty of Shadow Warriors left. Credit to the High Elves' leadership. against the Skaven, even though the Skaven still had plenty of numbers at various points. You know, their leadership, obviously, on all these chaff units is not going to hold up. So, okay, it's still going. We'll fast forward through the end here as the Grey Seer finally gives up the fight, and that will be game. So, very well played to both. Pretty traditional Skaven build, I would say. In the High Elves, this is one direction you can go in this matchup, and I have seen similar builds work to pretty good effect. Specifically, the Life Mage versus Allarielle I thought was kind of an interesting play. To have the Armor of Stars, I think, does make a pretty big difference. Stealth is a defense all on its own, right? And being able to stay hidden from those Jezzails at critical points in the battle, I think, is makes the Life Mage potentially better than Allarielle, even though Allarielle kind of brings more to the table. She's also a little bit more expensive, too. So you can't take quite as many support units, and both the Arcane Phoenixes, I mean, great value on them. Like I said, probably the best monster High Elves have right now. Surprisingly, the Shadow Warriors didn't actually do that much damage. A lot of their ammo, I think, was spent on cheaper troops and just kind of firing sort of into summons and various things. The Reavers, despite the fact they were used pretty aggressively, they did end up paying for themselves pretty well, going in after those Rat Ogres. I think they were used a little bit to chase routing units as well, which I didn't really highlight too much, but credit to Zombie Quest, played it pretty well. It's definitely tough to face a sort of unusual build like this if you haven't prepared for it, if you prepared for something a little bit more traditional. And, I mean, this build could be used in a number of different matchups. Some of the Jezzails did a great job here. Council of Guard definitely, I mean, there was a lot of large single entities for them to fight, so they both got great value. The Assassins, one of them got really good value. The other one somehow struggled. I think if both of these guys had got good value, you might have been able to finish off one or two of these single entities, maybe make it a little bit closer in the late game. But good job by Norman here, just sort of prioritizing the right targets, realizing like, okay, I gotta go after the Rat Ogres in the weapons teams and just kind of leave all the chaff for everything else to clean up. Leave these 3 single entities kind of until the late game as well. But very fun stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. I know I sure did. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button every time I upload a new video. You'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.